Einspänner. That's what today we're doing. Einspänner. You know, I just like to say that. Einspänner. What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Coffee Q&A, your daily dose of coffee here on the onocoffee channel. I'm your host, Jay. We're here every Monday through Friday, 10 a.m. Eastern. So how's it going? Good to see you guys are all here. We're really waiting. Thank you very much. Anton, Peter, good to see you. Your coffee's coming there, Peter. So you guys mentioned this earlier this week, Einspänner, and I never heard of the Einspänner until you guys mentioned it. So I was like, well, okay, we can do something with that. Let me look it up. And so here's the thing. I wasn't sure what Einspänner was, and I decided to call a friend of mine who's Austrian because I figured he would know. So I called up Reinhard and I said to him, or I messaged him really. I said, hey, Reinhard, what is this Einspänner and what do I need to know about it? So I'm going to play for you what he said to me because he talks about a variation on the Einspänner where you have to add a little bit of water extra, like another 30 milliliters of water to the espresso. But he calls it a different name, and I'm not getting that pronunciation correctly. So here's his message. I'm going to let you guys hear it so that you can hear what he says.
Here's it. So historically, apparently, the Einspänner is named after a one-horse carriage, which used to be very common all across Vienna. And accordingly, the Einspänner coffee specialty was something that the men who took care and who controlled the horse carriages would enjoy. Hence, they had a very strong espresso in a glass jar or jug with a little handle attached to it, with a strong and potent coffee in there, and then topped off with a large portion of whipped cream. And there's multiple stories as to why that is, to keep the coffee underneath warm and just drink it through the cream. I also heard stories that there might have been a little booze involved here and there, which was hidden underneath the cream. But in essence, today, the recipe and the story goes that it's a very strong espresso with whipped cream on top, and then sometimes people put a little icing sugar on top of the cream, which I think is completely unnecessary. Also, there's a dispute whether it's supposed to be just an espresso or if it's an espresso with like mils of extra water added to it, which would technically make it a verlängerte or a lungo. For me personally, I would do that and have a little more water in the coffee to lengthen it, and then put the cream on top. But that's how the story goes. So for me, it would be a strong shot of espresso, a little bit of extra water, and then a dollop of whipped cream served in a jug with a handle on the side. No icing sugar, nothing else. I hope this helps, my friend.
Yes, thank you very much, Reinhard. That totally helps. Verlängerte. I got to try to remember that. Verlängerte means a longer espresso, I guess. But I wasn't sure. Like he said verlängerte, but he also said lungo. But lungo would be allowing the shot to pull longer rather than just adding water. But I think he said he was there adding water. Verlängerte. Maku, good to see you. Mom, good morning. Naomi. Of course, booze would be... Yeah, booze. You know, the guys that are driving the carriages, you know, they're not getting paid very well. They're out there in the cold with this coffee. So why not add a little tipple to it? But I wonder, you know, what I forgot to ask him was, what liquor would you add to the Einspänner? He actually said it a little bit differently. I think I say it harder, Einspänner. He had a different, and then verlängerte. I have to remember that. Booze is Irish. There's always Peter. Peter's always here just to like rock the boat. You're going to be on a boat soon. How long is your boat trip? 1 week? Naomi says, off topic, but I saw an espresso machine like yours for sale on Marketplace. Oh, 1K. Oh, I guess that's a good deal. You should go. Well, you already have a machine, but if you maybe, who was it that was looking for a machine? Simu? Oh, no, it was, well, The name escapes me. I see it, but I can't remember. The booze is for the horse, not the driver. Come on now. We want to have the booze for the driver. But I was kind of interested. So you're driving a carriage. Obviously, you're probably working for a rich person, unless you're like a cab guy, right? But you're driving the carriage. You have your reins, and you're holding your coffee. Well, that might work. I was trying to find if I could get a horse for today's show, but short notice, rather difficult. Okay, so we've got our coffee ready. So what is it? Einspänner is espresso, double espresso, with a lot of cream. Now, I've seen different variations as I was looking on the internet. Evidently, this Einspänner is very popular in a iced version, and is also evidently super popular in Korea, South Korea, not North Korea. Who knows what they're drinking in North Korea? So there's quite a following for this drink, but the Einspänner I've seen come with very whipped cream, very lightly whipped cream, some of that kind of like almost whipped cream, so it's kind of like floating, but it kind of drizzles down. I believe, though, that the Viennese style, at least the ones that I've seen from Viennese cafes, which is actually, if you Google Einspänner, like I was trying to find images of the Einspänner from cafes in Vienna, because there's lots of vloggers or bloggers who are writing recipes for the Einspänner, or they're talking about the Einspänner in places like South Korea or other parts of the world. But I'm like, I want to find photos of the Einspänner from Vienna, from the source. It's actually rather difficult. I was not too successful. So Peter says no Irish coffee. I think he says no Irish coffee does have whiskey in it. Did I say it? Well, I didn't mean that it did. I don't disagree. I think it does. I've had it. Actually, I found a recipe for it that's supposed to be like authentic. I haven't. I downloaded it to my computer, so we're going to do that at some point. Maybe as it gets a little bit more colder. Now he says someone's looking for one like yours, but I can't remember. It was there was another one of the other viewers was asking about a machine, but he had he didn't have a lot of. I don't think he had a lot of cash to burn on it, but he had a Breville Bambino. Is that right? The Breville Bambino, which is a great machine to start with. But the hard part is that there's always the balance of buying a great machine that can last you a long time, that buy once, cry once kind of theory. But that's always has to be balanced out by the fact that, you could buy once, cry once, but if you don't have enough to buy once for the cry once, well, that still doesn't change. That doesn't change the factor. Then you may just have to buy something in the interim, because everybody does have, financial, limitations of some sort. Yours is 20 years old, and I find that. But I should also add the caveat that it's a 20-year-old machine, but it's not like it's running daily. Like it's not on. It only gets turned on, like right now, this past year. It only gets turned on when we're doing the show. Otherwise, it never gets turned on. It just sits here quietly, sitting, awaiting to do its service. So, and it's also not been a heavily used machine over the last 20 years. So it is 22 years old. But it's also not been under constant service for 22 years. So had it been under constant service, like on most of the time, pulling multiple shots a day, I think the condition of the machine would be a lot different, because the condition of my other machines that have been running for nonstop, continuous service, they're much harder worn than this machine. This machine is in great shape, mainly because it doesn't get used that often, and since it's the machine I have at home, I tend to take a little bit nicer care of it than the commercial machines, because they're always getting beat on, right? Anton says, if I had the money, I would get a Morrow Model 1 and cry out of heaven. Is the Morrow? Hoon had a guest yesterday. I saw a little bit of it. An Asian woman from a company that had a new espresso machine that they were in their Kickstarter phase. I think they had done a Indiegogo or something, or maybe it's the other way around. I don't remember. But is that the Morrow? I'm not too familiar with the Morrow. Naomi says, I still have my first machine, Bambino Plus. Still, as long as you're enjoying it, as long as it's making great espresso for what you want or coffee for the you want, there's really, you know what it is, Naomi? It's really, I think it's a guy thing, right? Like guys, we're just obsessed with like toys and tinkering and like acquiring things. Like, you know, it's just like my friend, right? Calls me. He's got I told you about this before, but he's got the La Marzocco GS3. Beautiful machine. He spent serious money on it. He calls me up. He's like, hey, man, can you get me a Giotto? So we get this Giotto. It's a $3,000 grinder. Do you think I'll ever need to buy another grinder? I said, dude, you will die with this grinder. You will not need to buy another grinder. But a year later, he calls me. He's like, what do you think about this grinder? I'm like, what are you talking about? Are you crazy? You want to buy another grinder? But I think it's more like guys like to tinker, guys like to do all this stuff. Women just want to get it done. Like you guys have better focus. You have better like intelligence. Women have better tasting ability than men. Like when I had a girlfriend who was also in the coffee business, she was much better. She's hands down, all the way around, she was much better taster, much better cupper, much better in drink preparation, you know, really amazing. And I think I find that to be, you know, not the stereotype, but I find that to be relatively true. Like a lot of my top staff have been women because they're just like, they're not there to hot dog you. They're here to like get it done. I'm like, I learned that over time. At least that's my experience. Okay, I'm catching up. Oh, Naomi says that I saw one I fell in love with, but I can't afford it. 11K. Oh, wow, really? 11K. Not ever happening. Come on. Why not? You only live once. Anton says, no, nothing to do with that. You cried. I thought if at $11,000, I figured you might cry because, you know, you spent $11,000. And Anton says, Maro is much greater. The future of espresso. Oh, nice. The later whose stream was for the Meraki. Oh, okay. Actually, I saw Maku was on one of the. Maku, I saw you commenting on Hoon's stream yesterday afternoon. I saw it come across my feed, so I clicked in for a few moments, and then I saw Maku commenting. I said, "Oh, there's Maku. All right, excellent." Nero says, "I'm part man. Then I like toys." Awesome. Modern Peso, says Peter, is the best traditional grind. Absolutely, without a doubt. Oh, Dan always wants, Dan, you're just trying to you're just trying to get under my skin. I see you right there. All right, let's make some Einspänner, right? We need to make some, but the first thing we need to make is, it's espresso with whipped cream. Now, I've seen it, people put like a sprinkle of chocolate. Now, Reinhard said there's no chocolate. He says sometimes people put a little bit of sugar, but he doesn't like that. We might do the chocolate thing just because it adds a little bit of color. Now, I think that's more of a external to Vienna kind of thing. And another thing I asked him later was, like, I said, hey, man, whipped cream, do you put sugar? Do you sweeten it lightly? He's like, no, we don't do that. What does he say? He actually, let me read it verbatim. I said to him, I'm presuming that the whipped cream is lightly sweetened. He said, no, not in Austria. It has a slightly sweet taste anyways, based on the lactose. So just the sweetness from the lactose, and that's it. Oh, I have to go grab something before I forget. I'll be right back, because this is something that is integral to what we're doing here today. I'm just going to walk over here to grab what I need, because I don't know if I'm even in anymore. But we're going to have some stuff here. Something I got earlier. So we're going to. All right, I just need to go to grab this item that we're going to be using with our Einspänner. And see, here's the problem. I've already forgotten the name that he used for the lungo. Flängespitten? I don't know. Okay, we're back. Sorry about that. Totally forgot that. Tectonic plate movement is that's just too much grinding. I was caught up actually in need another thing. We need to get our heavy cream. So I got some heavy cream here that we're going to whip, and because Dan decided to talk about hand grinders, this is something I picked up at a place called Creeder Farms. It's local here in Pennsylvania. Heavy cream, $5. Velingata. I gotta listen to that pronunciation again. So we're gonna take this, we're gonna whip it by hand. I've got this thing. And I figure we'll start this because, it takes a long time to whip. I don't really like to do it this way. I like doing this about as much as I like to hand grind my coffee. I haven't done this a long time. Fellingata. Oh, thank you. Fellingata. I'm going to have to listen to that. Fellingata. I was trying to remember that earlier. Now I can't remember. So terrible. So, yeah, I don't do this. This is not. But we have to whip it. So the idea of whipped cream, of course, is you're just whipping the cream. You're whipping air into. Gosh, that bar is so high. I never apprenticed in a kitchen under a chef, so I never had to do whipped cream this way. I've always used machinery to do that, whether it was an immersion in a stick blender or actually put it in a big mixer. So much easier. This sucks. But this is how much I love you guys, because it's Friday. And we want to pay homage to the Fräuleins who used to make this in the old Viennese cafes when the carriage drivers would actually come in and get this drink for their carriages. So the idea of Einspänner, Ein, I think, means one. Spanner, Anton, you tell me if I'm right. Spanner means driver? Bridle? I think you said bridle. So you're holding, oh my goodness. This is why people don't do this in modern time. This is why we have the KitchenAid in the Hobarts. You would think that I would be used to this kind of motion. Peter says that Australians can't pronounce Einspänner, so we named it Vienna coffee. How do they pronounce Einspänner? How would you say Australian, the Aussies, Einspänner? I don't know. Who am I to try to pretend that I know anything about accents? What I do like about Australia is in excess. Next time we do this, I'm going to bring the mixer down here because this is intolerable. No, etwas festspannend means to fixate something in place with torque. Oh, etwas festspannend. So what does the fest mean? Like, let's say, I mean, I realize that the company Festool is, I think it's a conglomeration of names originally, but if Festspannen means to fix it, is there actually a meaning for Festool or fixate a tool, maybe? Naomi says, I use an electric frother for my key. You know, I've got one of those somewhere. I have no idea where it is, though. I thought for a moment about using this monstrosity, this big. That would be misery, I think, to use. But we're starting to get some texture, right? Starting to get some texture here. So even just this little bit of and Tom says festool means hard tool. God, you Germans, man, that's just festool, yeah, festool. Oh man, that is a good one. That's a good one. Now you've totally changed. You totally ruined. Well, not a ruin, but now I've got something to talk about with people. Anton says Espresso can also be used to refer to a person who spies on people. Oh. And Spannung means voltage. Oh, okay. Germans love their contractions. Naomi says it will stiffen up if quicker if it's icy cold. I took this straight out of the fridge. I actually had it sitting in ice overnight to try to keep it cold in a cooler. My Festool cooler, my hard tool cooler. Also, this is just poor technique. Like, I don't really have good technique for this. Oh, gosh. Only can you come on a live stream and watch some dude whip cream while talking about the hard tools. But we're getting some texture out of it. They're getting some nice texture. Like, I think that this is a texture where some of it would float if we poured it on top of coffee. And if you guys know much about the bubble tea world, where they make the cheese foam, I think this would be close to that texture. Like if I mixed in some cream cheese, which actually I think tastes really great. Cream cheese with the heavy cream, and you float that on top of your bubble tea, like a brown sugar bubble tea. Gosh, I really like that. This girl I know, she was like telling me the first time I had it, she was like, you should try this. And I was like, I will try whatever you tell me to try because I told her, I'm at your service. Whatever you want me to try, I will try. Yeah, bubble tea, good, Peter, right? Dan is here to remind me of like my worst memories. Thank you, Dan. I appreciate that very much. Anton says a fest means hard or solid. Oh man. Speaking of, it reminds me of that. You guys know Uncle Roger. Uncle Roger's that guy, that comedian, that Asian, Taiwanese, Singaporean, something like that. I think he's Singaporean. Comedian based out of the United Kingdom. He does the whole hiya, fuyo. He used to do videos with this chef, what's her name? Elizabeth Haig, who owns a Singaporean kind of hawker stand in London. And he didn't do videos with her for a couple of years because she got outed for outright plagiarism in her book. She released a book, and she had these stories about like her grandmother. Turns out it wasn't her grandmother, it was somebody else's grandmother, and they had lifted the stories verbatim out of the other person's book. And I was like, whoa, that's crazy. So Uncle Roger didn't do videos with her for like 2 years, but he finally started doing videos with her again. But I remember the videos before, if you ever look at the videos before, him and Elizabeth Haig, they kind of make those innuendos. And this is actually I always thought it was quite funny, quite enjoyable times. I have a hard time watching her videos now, mainly because of the whole plagiarism thing. Like, there's one thing to have, like, recipes are not copyrightable. So that's one thing. Plus, recipes can be varied. It's not like recipes are unique, but someone's like life history, life experience, that's kind of unique. Like, if you're ripping off someone's grandmother or taking their stories, I think that's a little bit much. Put the whisk on your electric battery. I should have done that. I should have connected this to the CXS12. Would have been a smarter move. But you don't come here to watch you don't come here to see me be smarter about things. Wow, this really. I don't know if I should have got a bigger bowl so that I could go harder. But I don't know physically if I can go harder. Maybe my tool is not so fast. Festool Kitchen Tools, Craig says, we should have that. I would like that. Actually, they do have that. What am I saying? They got this thing this past summer. They had one of their sustainers had an apron, a kind of like a seasoning shaker. It was more for outdoor grilling. What else was in there? There was something else, and then a brand. So if you wanted to brand your meat with a hard tool, you could totally do that. All right, so it's still soupy. My hand is also getting numb. Move that festool faster. Yeah, all right. They say soft peak. They say hard peaks. There's no hard peaks here. But I don't know if there's actually supposed to be hard peaks or not. You see those chefs that do this. How long have I been doing this? Like 10 minutes? And then Anton says, we call them the whipped cream. Schlugson, is that right? Schlugson, punch cream. 300 years, I've been doing this for 300 years. I certainly feel that way. My arm feels that way. Actually, I haven't felt this kind of numbness in my arm since I was using my DeWalt sander. Now that I have Festool sanders, I don't feel vibrations in my hands. All right, we're getting it's getting better. I think that's the kind of consistency that I've seen. Peter says, no, I would have just used thickened cream. When you say thickened cream, see, that's something we don't, I don't know if we have that in America, or what we would call that in America. Like, this is what we call heavy cream. So this has 35% milk fat. You know who else does this? That crazy guy, John Townsend, from that channel, Townsend's channel. I don't know if you've ever seen this, but Townsend's is a channel on YouTube where they recreate living in the 17th century or 18th century, the 1700s. And I really like their videos. I like what they're doing there. And actually, I like it so much that I went to go visit when I was in Chicago a couple of years ago. I was like, I need to go to Indiana. So I rented a car, drove to Indiana, because I wanted to get one of their jackets. So I got a jacket from them. Really awesome jacket, actually. It's like one of the few jackets that they would have that you could wear like in public without looking like you're doing cosplay. Well, we are getting texture. So Peter says life is too short, but you know what? We've got an hour. All right, that's some pretty decent texture. It's pretty, I think this will really float. So we'll try that. We're going to try this because you know what? My hands are numb. I don't even know if I can make espresso because they're kind of numb. But let's find out. Let's go over here to the espresso machine. Again, I haven't touched it since yesterday, so we're going to grind out. Oh, I need to plug in my grinder. I did use the other grinder for last night's live stream. Whoa. Sometimes you get out of control. Clean out our portafilter basket. At least the nice thing about this, we don't have to use the steam one today. So it's kind of falling lower here, right? Like higher here, lower here. So I just come around. Whoops. Now, I should note that I don't normally do it like this high up. Normally I'm doing this all down here. So compaction. All right. Let's pull this test shot and see how it goes. Oh, look at that. Okay, so here's an interesting thing. Oh, see, now the machine's beeping. It's over pressurized. So here's an interesting something for us to discuss today. We've had now overpressurization because the coffee, I'm going to continue while I talk, has stopped. The machine got overpressurized, so it started beeping on us to say, hey, this is not a good situation. Now, like I said, I haven't changed anything since yesterday. And I've been kind of telling you all the past 3-4 months that I don't really change the grind. And I don't really change the grind. I only change the grind when I really need to, when the shots are telling me that we need to change something. And right now, the shot is telling us we need to change something. Now, we haven't changed the coffee. The coffee is still the same as yesterday. What has probably changed is our environment. There's probably been some kind of change to the environment, and there's been swings in temperature, but perhaps more humidity changes. So, and we're going to guess we're at the same. So I haven't adjusted the grind since yesterday. We pulled nice shots yesterday. The quantity looked to be about the same that we normally. So I think that's fine. What we need to consider is that how would this be if the beans are absorbing? So what's happening probably is that the beans, now that the temperature is getting colder, the humidity in the air is getting less. So maybe now finally that lower humidity is starting to affect the beans. So the beans are, instead of expanding with the absorption of moisture, they're contracting with the loss of moisture, and we're not talking tremendous amounts of change, just very minor changes can affect the way, because we're taking one bean, we're grinding it down to maybe 2,000 to 3,000 particles, right? So that makes a big difference in the way that they come together in a matrix to provide resistance against the water flow. So what we're going to do by pulling this shot, this is why we do the first shot before we actually pull our drinks. And that's to see where the shot is. And then now we're going to make an adjustment. Now, my first feeling is that we're going to go coarser, right? Because the coffee that has now contracted grinds finer, where theoretically grinds, well, grinds the same or finer, and then it comes together tighter. So we want to coarsen up the particulate size just to give it more space in between them, right? Dan says this live is bordering on a true ASMR video. We're making whipped cream. And now we're going to be adjusting our grind because we need to make it a little bit larger because our flow rate is too slow, too much resistance. That could be our whole thing right there. The environment was changed by all that whipping. I think it has now. Oh, yeah, now I'm starting to get there. Look at this. Look at this. Look at this. Ooh. This is ready for the festool. That's terrible. That's a terrible thing to say. This is a children's show or children friendly. Okay, so let's go back and have a look at our grinder. So we see that this is our volume. Not much, not much. How's it taste? So, oh yeah, let's look here. So you can see, look at the color variation. Like it looks wetter here, but drier here in the center. Interesting. Compaction is good. Yeah, we're under extracted, so there's a lot of oils. Actually, what little espresso is in there actually has nice flavor. I'm going to reuse that cup. All right, let's try this again. What we're going to do is we're going to go a little bit coarser. Now, here's the thing. With these type of grinders, you can adjust the grind finer, coarser. When you're going finer, you're bringing the burrs closer together. When you're going coarser, you're bringing them farther apart. So when you're going finer, you need to turn the grinder on so that it's grinding and moving so you can move the burrs closer. But when you're doing the reverse, you don't have to. So I'm just going to give it a little bit of a tweak right there, just a slight touch. Maybe if you want to, quantify it, maybe one tick on this knurled collar. We're going to grind through that coffee and get rid of what was in there. Hopefully that'll be enough to get us through into the new coffee. Now, here's something that I would like you to consider as you're thinking about this kind of thing. Oh yeah, it's getting nice and thick. Ooh, never have I done this. I feel like I'm accomplishing something today for the first time in a long time. But oh yeah, oh, we're getting soft peaks now. Okay, so what was I had this whole nugget of like wisdom to impart with you, but it has disappeared into the ether as I was whipping my cream. Oh yeah, look at that, look at that. Oh. Oh my gosh. That's a $50 cup of coffee. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. 18 minutes since I started whipping. Oh gosh, that's crazy. That's crazy. A ristretto coffee because the puck is too... Okay, so, oh yes, as you're changing your grind, it had to do with changing the grind. I'll come back to it. I'll circle back to it if I can remember. All right, let's go back here and make our coffee. We're going to pull another shot to see how it goes. Okay, just another mound. I think it could be a combination that maybe I also put a little bit too much coffee. So I'm going to sweep a little bit off. Oh, that's what I meant to say. That the reason that, okay, so one thing that we work with our baristas, and this is something I encourage everyone to do, is to work on your parameters, meaning the way you dose the coffee, the way you distribute the coffee, the way you temp the coffee. You want to have those factors under control. And even though I'm not actually dropping the coffee on a scale, I'm seasoned enough that I'm pretty much getting the 21 grams that I want. I mean, I know I'm saying this with a bit of bravado, but I mean, this is something I've tested out for the last 20 years. And so I'm relatively sure this is pretty close to where I want to be. And in terms of expediency, I don't really scale it every time because, well, I just hate doing that. So if you can, and what we work with baristas to make sure they get all these external factors consistent, so that when issues like this happen, the only thing that's really you need to address is the grind, right? If your tamping style and tamping pressure are always consistent, if the amount of coffee you're using is always consistent, we presume the machine is consistent because, there's a lot of things that are happening in the machine, but most people don't need to address those 99% of the time. So that leaves the only thing left is the grind particulate size, and that's what we try to focus on. All right, let's flush and brew. See if we get better results this time. The lingering flavor from that little bit of espresso, it's still pretty tight. What is going on? We've really had a big change since yesterday. Now, I'd say that we're right on the verge. It's coming up pretty slow, pretty thick. I think the machine is right on the verge of where it's going to start to tell me, hey, we're going to stall out now. But we're going to let it roll. Okay, that looks pretty good. That's nice and slow. Had to look some good timing. Let us have a look at our espresso. Knock out those bubbles. And not bad. Nice reddish brown crema, a little bit of flecking on the edges where there were some bubbles, a little bit of blonding starting right there, but not terrible. Let's have a taste. Still it's a little bit, so compared to yesterday's shot, a little bit brighter. There's still some of that dry cacao powder. Good body. Not as bassy tone as I would like. And I think that's mostly because this is that single origin Guatemala that I'm testing out. That will eventually probably be, it could become a component for the Espresso 99. All right, let's look here at our whipped cream. Our whipped cream is ready. Oh man, look at that. My hand really does magic. This motion is just so magical. Okay, so the Einspänner, we're going to need a cup. We need to have a cup. So I was looking through my cups and I found this. We need a cup that has a handle. Now I've seen people use cups online that were like the Irish whiskey cups. I don't know if I have. I thought I had one, but I don't. So I have this modern looking cup that has a handle that I think would be good if I was holding a bridle, driving a carriage. I think this would be good. Right, so we talked about what the drink is. So a double shot of espresso with a good amount of foam of whipped cream, because the idea is that you're in Vienna, you're driving around fancy people, you get your coffee, you're trying to keep yourself warm because it's cold. You want your coffee to not, get cold. So you keep this thick whipped cream on top to act as an insulator against foam. Now, what they really needed was to call Bodum in Switzerland and be like, hey, can you send us the vacuum glasses? But of course, that was years away from what they were doing. So we're going to take this, we're going to make the shot, we're going to pull it straight into here, we're going to add the whipped cream, and that should do us nicely. All right, so put that away. And, I also have this, just in case we decide to go this direction. I have this. This is some cocoa powder. This is okay. This is from Cordillera, my Internationals de Chocolat. This is what they call the Maquira. This is their cocoa powder. Once upon a time, I did used to use Dutch processed Hershey's, but we don't use that anymore. Not because it's bad or anything, just because I like that better. It gives a nicer kind of flavor. So we're going to maybe do a little drizzle or a little bit of sprinkling on top later. But for now, let's pull our shot. Let's get everything ready here. We're going to lose the spout because I don't know, actually. I wonder, will this fit? You want to make sure you get that out when you work with new cupware, because you just never know. You don't want to get caught in a situation where you're in the middle of making your drinks and, you fit the cup under there, especially if you have guests that are over and you're making them coffee and you're trying to show them your coffee prowess because they know that you into coffee, that you are a coffee shop owner, and that you are a world judge for coffee, and then you come off looking like a moron because you can't run your own equipment. Not that that's ever happened to me. Okay, so here's our basket. Make sure we clean it up nice, right? Good, good. Now that we're making the drink, the pressure's on. Now I want to make sure I get it right. Okay, so that's a good amount, I think. We're not even going to lose any. Just going to push it to the kind of center because I'm going to rely upon the tamper and this slight chamfer to kind of compress it out, right? All right, here we go. Come on, baby. Oh yeah, there we go. I don't know if you can see that, but it's looking very nice. Marcus says you've inspired me to make my wine whipped cream. Well, thank you. I appreciate that. I don't recommend it. I don't recommend it. Look, it took me nearly 20 minutes to make this whipped cream. Although I guess with more practice, you could do it very fast. Okay, that's good. And there's our shot. Look at that. Oh, looks fairly nice. Let's go over here. Ooh. All right. Now, here's the problem, though. Like, this is volume-wise, this is a very small amount of coffee. Like, that just seems like a little bit, like I kind of want to have more. The Verlinke, right? Just because I want to see more volume, right? So let's do that. We're going to do that. We're going to add a little bit more water. I'm going to take some water from the machine. Now, Reinhard said 30 mils. So 30 mils is a shot or something like that. So we're just going to add to the cup here. And that's not really giving us a lot of volume more, right? That's just, it's almost nothing. Now we're going to get our whipped cream, which I've done a very good job. Huh? Oh, I fall out. That'd be so hilarious. Okay, so nicely done. Should we do, is it good enough to do quenelles? No, it is not. It is not heavy enough for quenelles. So we're going to add the dollop. We need to cover all of it because it's supposed to insulate. This is better if you pipe it or use an ISI whipper. Is this too much, Anton? What do you think? That's a lot. That is a lot. And I've done a poor job at placing it. One thing I have to say is that I do feel the warmth here at the bottom. There's the Einspänner. Now, how about, let's do a little bit of the cocoa powder. I do like the cocoa powder. Just gonna add a little pinch. We're just pushing it through the strainer because we don't want it to clump, right? Oh, Einspänner. Okay, let's put this back in the cup. I need some thumbnails now. Is that prettier? All right, Einspänner. Einspänner. No, don't Americano the Vienna. Nice, nice. And Maku says, oh, I'll be using technology to have it whip the cream. Oh, okay, that's the smart way to do it. I like KitchenAid to help me out when I need it. Now go get the horse. I should get the horse. I should have got the horse. I totally missed out on the horse. What a mistake this was. Anton says, I have no idea. I actually didn't know the concept of Einspänner before this. Oh, well, you and I both. Well, they're from Austria, right? You're German. So never the twain shall meet. Which was prettier, though. Now, of course, the cream, we did not add any sweetener. Like here, typically, we'll add a little bit of like confectioner sugar because that's really powdered, so it's easier to blend into it. But yeah, we didn't do that this time. We're going to let the lactose, the natural sweetness of the lactose, enhance the drink. All right, so I'm not really too worried because now the water, the coffee is still warm, right? Because it's being insulated by that whipped cream. Also, we're finding that there's going to be a little bit of blending of the whipped cream as it kind of melts against the heat, right? But you can still see it's kind of floating. It is layered right here, which I love. I love that. I love that layering. Now, I did ask him, Reinhard, like what goes with it, and he said, sucker is very good to go with it. And I was like, sucker tort? Maybe I should get one of those because there's a Lidl here. Lidl's that German grocery store. We have Lidl here nearby. I like to go to it. And they have this frozen sucker tort from Germany. I was thinking, maybe I'll get that. But then I thought, you know what? This is America. Let us bring something American to this festool table. So I went to Wegmans and I got this, their ultimate chocolate cake, which, Wegmans is from New York, and chocolate, this is probably from like German influence of somewhere. $6 for a slice of cake. My friend Elise, years ago, she brought this chocolate cake and I was like, this is amazing. What is this chocolate cake and where did you get it from? Did you make it? She was like, no, I got it from Wegmans. I was like, what? Wegmans? I hate going to Wegmans. I hate going to Wegmans. I don't want to go there. It's so crazy over there. And then you go there, it's so busy and they don't have any checkout lines. Like the last time I went there, I went to go buy something really simple. Maybe this cake. I think I was trying to buy this cake. And, I went there. I went to go to the quick checkout, and they were like, and I was like, well, "Do you take cash?" No cash here. I was like, "You got to be kidding me! You got to walk over to the other side of the store to get the regular register." So I walked over the other side of the store, and I don't like to go to the self checkout. Like if I'm going to self checkout myself, then give me a discount, right? But the self checkout had like 20 people in line, literally 20 people, and then I went to look at they only had like 2 or 3 lanes open, and they were busy. And I was like. So I just got pissed off and I was like, you know what? I walked up to the customer service. I said, here, there's no place for me to buy this. And then I left. I was like, I had enough. So I got this because my aunt the other day was like, hey, I'm going to go to Wegmans. Do you want anything? I was like, how about the chocolate cake? So I thought we would share this with you here today in honor of our Einspänner because this would be as close as I can figure to, what is it, to the, I should have put it vertically. To the tort. Actually, maybe I should do another thumbnail. Nice. So, Einspänner, let's have a taste. We've got a long way to pour, so I don't know how this really works. Like, if I'm the Galloping Gourmet, and I'm, yeah. Oh, not bad. I mean, it's underneath. Now, in the old days of Vienna, with the carriage drivers, are they really just using this layer of cream to hold back or just to retain the heat as much as they can? Or are they actually going to consume it? Like, all I'm getting is coffee, mainly coffee. There's a little bit of cream, of course, mixed in, but it's not really blending together. It tastes good. Like, I mean, it's nice. I just don't know what the true experience is supposed to be like. I guess it really demands that we visit. Maku wants all kinds of like decadence here, like putting whipped cream on the cake. We can't put whipped cream on the cake. We have to taste the cake first, right? Let's taste the cake. Look at that. It's actually got like striations of fudginess. I don't know if you can see that too well, but you can kind of see it. There's a little bit of striations of fudginess. So let's have a taste of it. So if you have a Wegmans nearby you, I would suggest you go run and buy this, because this cake is actually pretty darn good. So let's have a taste now with the coffee. So it's kind of like a sucker tort. Ooh, nice. Okay, here's where the whole combination falls apart. The Wegmans cake is decadently sweet. Like, it's super sweet. This is not very sweet. So while that's a nice juxtaposition, I think it's very sweet. Like, I don't know why, but I feel like there's a little bit of clashing because of it. Now, so I don't know. Maku, who is a bad influence, wants us to try with some whipped cream on the cake. Next, he's going to want to have ice cream on the cake. Okay, let's try that one. Mamma mia. Taking big bites of food makes me feel like I'm, what's it, Mark Wiens. Surprisingly, there's quite a lot of, I feel like if I just had espresso, like a double shot or triple shot, quad shot of espresso, I would have been done by now. But it's actually, I feel like it's longer lasting by adding the cream and maybe a little bit of the water. Malcolm says, I worked out hard to make the cream. I put it on everything. I use it to brush my teeth. Well, what you don't get to see on today's live stream is what I'm going to do with it after we're done. Anton says, I'll put the rest of the whipped cream on the cake. In Cologne, we always eat cake with whipped cream. Well, you know what? Then we will honor the Colognese with whipped cream on the cake. Because as they say, YOLO, and I might die tomorrow. Okay, that's all the whipped cream. And it's now on the cake. Malcolm says, you all know what you're doing in Cologne. They do. I've not been to Cologne yet, though. I have to go check it out. I have not been to the extremes of Germany. What I mean by it's just like Dresden and Cologne is on the other side, right? From Dresden, is that right? I've been mostly to Frankfurt, and a lot of the area around the Essen area, as well as into Bavaria, but not down to Munich. I've not been to Munich yet. I've been out to the southwest to Saarbrücken, and then I've been up north to Berlin, and then to Hamburg, as well as Wolfsburg. There's a lot to cover. Germany, it's Europe, so it's compared to America, relatively small, but there's a lot to cover. I did quite a few years ago, I did a week-long trip driving. I loved every moment of it. Really fantastic. I found most Germans to be relatively nice. Oh, here's the interesting thing. So as I've been drinking, I remember I mentioned that there's a lot of cream, but how do they consume it? Evidently, the cream is part of what's been melting and increasing the volume of the espresso. Very interesting. Actually, that's really nice. That's really quite nice of a drink. But like I was saying, so I was driving. I've been going to Germany, and wow, that's sweet. Whenever I go to a place, you want to try to like maybe pick up a little bit of the language. And I don't know what it is, but if you go somewhere and you're like, oh, guten Tag, and you might try to add some more German. Like I've never had Germans like want to engage me. And I don't know, is my pronunciation so terrible? Is it the fact that if they were to try to communicate with me in German, it would be very belabored? Or is it that Germans just don't feel like anyone should speak their language? I was like, what is going on? I've never had anyone. I'm like, guten Tag, guten Morgen. That's about it. Anything beyond that, nothing. I was like, that's only English. I was like, all right. I don't know if it's a cultural thing I've done. You tell me. I'm just curious. I'm not bothered or offended by it. I'm just kind of like, I just thought it was kind of funny. So yeah, this is like the cup that keeps on giving. It's just continuous volume. Well, I said I really like this cake, and I do, but I feel like it's really sweet. I wonder, like, I haven't had it in a while, and I just wonder, like, is my taste changing? Like, it's hella sweet. Maybe it's too early in the morning. Luckily, I have not had breakfast yet. This is my breakfast. All right, I cannot eat anymore. That is just too much. All right, so this is the Einspänner. Actually, wow, surprisingly good. Peter, was this you that was talking about the Einspänner? Or was it Dan? Actually, quite nice. And with the cake, but on its own, really nice. I don't know if the cacao helped. That didn't add any dimension. It's just floating on the top. That's just to make it pretty. If I was to make this again, I wouldn't make it with, well, if I was to make this in a cafe setting, I'd put the cocoa just because it's visually interesting, but experientially, not that much impact on the flavor. All right. I guess that's it for this week. We'll be back again next week with more coffee Q&A. Oh, I wonder when we're going to get this grinder. Like, so the story of the O Gen 2 continues. Like a week ago, I mentioned to you that, I'm expecting it to come in because they said they were going to expedite it. And a week has gone by, and I have not received the new grinder. I think they did say they were going to expedite it, which I figured, they would expedite. Last Wednesday, they're like, we're going to expedite it to you. And I figured, okay, cool. You sent me an invoice. I got it. Probably be here by Friday. Monday came, and I was like, well, I'll probably be here Monday. Wednesday came, and I got an email that said, oh, here's your tracking number. And I was like, tracking number? It took you a week to do that? Like, I'm not upset about it, but it's just like, I wish you had I'm okay with waiting. Just set my expectations correctly. Just be like, hey, it's going to take us a week to get things rolling for you. And then we'll get the information out to you. I was like, okay, that to me, that'd be fine. So they sent me a tracking number. And when I checked out on Wednesday, UPS had not received the package. They had just received the control numbers. I haven't checked since then because I'm not really pressing for it. We have a grinder. We have multiple grinders. But we will get that grinder, and then we will make sure that it works, and then we're going to take apart the other grinder. But, Marcus says, I'm going to end up the stream and immediately take a nap with the whipped cream. Anton says, many people know some English and have a hard time understanding badly pronounced, which undoubtedly I'd be like, can I get a pretzel? Give me a pretzel, please. They're like, you mean a brezelin? I was like, what? I don't know what that means. All right, fine. I'll just have that. The one with the butter, or the one where they slice it with the butter in the middle. Oh, Mamma mia, I like that. Or the one that has the Kais, the cheese melted on top. Oh. Or with the pumpkin seeds. My God. I tell you, when I go to Frankfurt Airport and I get to the access to the Lufthansa lounge, they have these pretzels that I love the most. I am eating those greedily. I'm just like, oh my God. I'm stealing them to put them in my bag. The problem is they don't last. If you don't eat it that day, tomorrow, the pretzel is just too hard. It's just not very enjoyable. So I do steal the cheese ones. I steal the cheese. I got to. But when I have to buy it outside at the bakery, the ones that they slice, so they take these pretzels, they're soft, right? Imagine a better, harder Auntie Anne's. Instead of putting melted butter like Auntie Anne says, imagine it's cool now. And imagine it's harder and darker. And imagine you slice it down the center. And then you lather it with butter, and then you make a butter pretzel sandwich. Mamma mia, that is so. You Germans know how to enjoy pretzels. That's all I can say. And Anton says, that's not even the good stuff. Some traditional bakeries take the pretzels to the... Oh, you'll have to tell us one day more about these pretzels. Maybe if I make it up to Cologne, we could do a coffee pretzel tour. All right. That's going to be it for today. Peter, you're going to be away next week. Is that right? You're going to be on a boat doing research. Is that correct? Have a safe journey. I hope you have a good time out there and hope you come back safe, and I hope the boat doesn't sink. We'd be very sad without you. And hope you have a wonderful weekend, everybody. Back again on Monday with more of the Coffee Q&A. See you next time.